If you're watching this during the holiday season, maybe with your tree glowing in the background or snow falling outside your window, grab something warm to drink and get comfy. This is going to be a long one. We're talking family drama, childhood magic, heartbreak, quiet long-term forgiveness, and an ending that still makes me ugly cry every single time. If it hits you in the heart like it hits me, please smash that like button, share this video with someone who needs hope this Christmas, drop your own family holiday stories in the comments, and subscribe with the bell on. We're trying to get this to 1 million views because stories like this remind us that broken things can become beautiful again. Let's start at the very beginning, because to understand how much that nativity set meant, you need to know what Christmas felt like at Nana's house in the 1960s. I grew up in a small town just outside Akron, Ohio. Think brick ranch houses, wide sidewalks, church steeples you could see from almost anywhere, and winters that dumped real snow, the kind that muffled everything and made the world feel softer. My grandma Evelyn, Nana to all of us, lived in the same 2-story White House with green shutters from the day she married my grandpa in 1948 until the day she moved into assisted living in her 90s. That house was Christmas headquarters for the entire family. Every December 1st, Nana started decorating. She had boxes and boxes of ornaments, some handmade, some glass balls from the 1950s that still had the original Woolworth's price stickers on them. She strung multicolored lights along the porch roofline, put electric candles in every window, and hung a huge fresh wreath on the front door that smelled like pine for weeks. Inside, the tree went up in the big bay window in the living room. It was always real, always huge, always a little crooked because Grandpa insisted on cutting it himself from the tree farm outside town. But the absolute star of the show, the thing every single one of us looked forward to, was Nana's nativity set. It wasn't one complete set bought in a box. It was collected, piece by piece, over 25 years. The Holy Family, Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus in his little manger, came from Nana's own mother in 1942 as a wedding gift delayed by the war. They were delicate hand-painted porcelain, made in occupied Japan right after the war ended, with the softest pastel colors, Mary in pale blue, Joseph in earthy brown, baby Jesus wrapped in white with a tiny golden halo painted above his head. Over the years Nana added to it. The 3 wise men came one at a time, 1960, 1962, 1964. Each Christmas my grandpa would surprise her with one new figure wrapped under the tree. The shepherds and the angel were gifts from my mom and her sisters when they were teenagers with part-time jobs. The little donkey, the sheep, the ox, those were found at church bazaars and antique shops on family road trips. By 1966 the set was complete, 14 beautiful pieces arranged on a bed of rail moss and straw on the white oak mantel above Nana's fireplace. Nana lit it from behind with soft white Christmas lights hidden in cotton snow. When the overhead lights were turned off, the whole scene glowed like a little window into Bethlehem. You could sit on the floor and stare at it for hours. The wise men's jeweled crowns caught the light. The angels' wings looked like they might actually flutter. Baby Jesus's tiny face looked peaceful, like he already knew everything was going to be okay. Every Christmas Eve, after a huge dinner, ham glazed with pineapple rings and maraschino cherries, scalloped potatoes bubbling with cheese, green beans cooked with bacon, homemade Parker house rolls, 7 kinds of cookies, 3 pies. We'd all crowd into the living room. There were usually 25 to 30 of us, Nana and Grandpa, my mom and us kids, my aunts and uncles and their families, sometimes great-aunts from Pennsylvania or West Virginia. The room smelled like cinnamon, pine, coffee, and whatever perfume the ladies were wearing that year. The kids would sit on the braided rug in front of the fireplace. The adults filled the sofa, the rocking chairs, the folding chairs brought in from the kitchen. Nana would turn off the main lights, leaving only the tree and the Nativity glowing. Then she'd pick up her big family Bible, the one with the soft leather cover worn smooth from decades of use, and read the Christmas story straight from Luke chapter 2. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. Her voice was calm, warm, a little raspy from years of singing in the church choir. She didn't rush. She let every word land. When she got to and there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night, you could almost hear the quiet of that long-ago field. When the angels appeared with glory to God in the highest, a couple of the little cousins would gasp like it was the first time they'd ever heard it. When she finished, we'd all sing. First, "O come all ye faithful," then "Silent Night." Nana started us off a cappella, and by the second verse everyone joined in, voices blending, some off-key but nobody cared. After that, the kids got to open one present each, the traditional new pajamas or a book or something small to keep us busy until morning. Those Christmases felt eternal. Safe. Magical. Like nothing bad could ever touch us. But everything changed in 1967. My mom met Roger in 1963. She was 28, a widow. My dad had died in a car accident when I was 2, and working as a secretary at the rubber company downtown. Roger was 32, tall, handsome in a rugged way, with dark hair and a quick smile. He worked on the factory floor, made decent money, loved cars and fishing. They dated for a year and got married in a small ceremony at our church in the spring of 1964. At first, things were good. Roger moved into our little house, fixed things around the place, took my older brother fishing, called me princess and let me ride on his shoulders at the county fair. But the drinking was always there. It started small, the beers after work, a flask at football games. Then it grew. By 1966 he was coming home late some nights, smelling like whiskey, short-tempered if dinner wasn't ready. My mom made excuses. He works hard. He's under pressure. He'll cut back after the holidays. We kids just tried to stay out of the way. Christmas Eve 1967 started out like every other perfect one. Snow had been falling since morning, big, fluffy flakes that piled up fast. The roads were quiet. Everybody was already where they wanted to be for the holidays. Nana's house was packed. My cousins Jenny and Tommy were there, Aunt Linda and Uncle Ray from Pittsburgh, Aunt Carol and her new baby, Grandpa's brother Uncle Ed, who always brought the good bourbon for the adults. Dinner was incredible as always. Nana had been cooking for 2 days. The ham was perfect, the pies were still warm. Roger had started drinking early beer with the men, watching whatever bowl game was on TV that afternoon, then switching to whiskey once the kids were out from underfoot. Nobody said anything at first. It was Christmas. After dinner we did the usual migration to the living room for the Bible reading. The fire was crackling. The tree lights twinkled. The Nativity glowed like it had every year of my life. Nana opened her Bible. And it came to pass in those days. That's when Roger came back from the kitchen. He'd been in there refilling his glass, whiskey on the rocks, the ice clinking loud enough that a few heads turned. He was laughing at something Uncle Ray had said earlier, laughing too hard, too late. His face was flushed, eyes glassy. He took one step into the room, caught the heel of his shoe on the edge of Nana's braided oval rug, the one she'd made herself from old fabric scraps, and stumbled forward. I saw it happen in slow motion. His right arm swung out wide to catch his balance. It swept across the mantel in one devastating arc. The porcelain figures lifted off their mossy bed like they were flying for a split second, and then they fell. The sound was awful. A sharp, musical crash followed by dozens of smaller tinkling breaks as pieces hit the hardwood floor and scattered. Baby Jesus split in two at the waist. Mary's head snapped clean off and rolled under the Christmas tree. One wise man's camel lost both legs. The angel's wings shattered into powder. The little donkey's ears broke off. The stable itself cracked down the middle and collapsed. Pieces everywhere. Some slid all the way across the room. The silence that followed was heavier than any sound I've ever heard. Nana stood with her Bible still open, mouth slightly open, tears filling her eyes instantly. She didn't scream or cry out. She just stared. Roger muttered, "Ah, damn it, I'm sorry," but the words slurred together and he tried to chuckle like it was no big deal. My mom jumped up, grabbed his arm hard, whispered, "Roger, sit down right now." Uncle Ray looked ready to drag him outside. But Nana lowered herself slowly to her knees in her green velvet Christmas dress and started picking up the pieces one by one with shaking hands. My cousin Jenny crawled over to help, but Nana touched her shoulder gently and said, "It's okay, darling. Let me." Her voice was steady, but we could all hear the break in it. I remember sitting there frozen, 8 years old, feeling like the whole world had just cracked open. That nativity wasn't just decoration. It was Nana's history, her faith, her love made visible. And now it was in shards on the floor because of one drunk stumble. The rest of the night fell apart. Roger passed out on the couch 10 minutes later. My mom sat in the kitchen crying into a dish towel while she scrubbed pans that were already clean. The adults spoke in low, angry whispers. The kids were sent to bed early with no extra present opening. Christmas morning was quiet, no laughter, no music, just polite thank yous and forced smiles. Nana wrapped the broken pieces in tissue and put them in an old shoebox. That box went to the back of her closet, and the mantle stayed empty for the rest of the season. The years after 1967 were hard in ways that are difficult to explain. Roger and my mom's marriage unraveled slowly over the next 5 years. The drinking got worse. There were loud fights late at night, slammed doors, weeks when he'd disappear to a buddy's couch. They finally divorced in 1972 when I was 13. Roger moved to Florida, remarried, and we only saw him a handful of times after that. My mom and Nana rebuilt their relationship piece by piece, the way you do after something painful involving someone you both loved in different ways. There were no big confrontations, just quiet distance at first, then slowly more phone calls, more visits, more shared recipes and church events. Nana never bought a full replacement nativity right away. For 3 Christmases, the mantle had only candles and greenery. Then in 1971 she put out a small wooden set she found at a craft fair, simple olive wood figures carved in the Holy Land. It was pretty, but it wasn't hers. You could see it in her eyes. Every so often when I slept over at Nana's, especially in high school when I'd go help her with yard work or baking, I'd find her in her bedroom sitting on the edge of the bed with that shoebox open. She'd take out the broken pieces one at a time, turn them over gently, sometimes hold 2 fragments up to the light to see if they matched. A few times she tried gluing small chips back on with clear epoxy, but most were too damaged. One night when I was 16, I asked her why she kept them if they made her sad. She thought for a long time, then said, "They don't make me sad, honey. They remind me that love doesn't throw things away just because they're broken. And they remind me to pray, for Roger, for your mama, for all of us who get hurt and hurt others without meaning to." That stuck with me. Life rolled on. I graduated high school in 1977, went to nursing school at Ohio State, met Mark at a campus Christian group in 1980. We got married in 1983 in Nana's backyard under the big maple tree. Nana was there in her pale blue dress, eyes shining. She danced with Grandpa to unchained melody even though her knees were starting to bother her. Lauren was born in 1986, Ethan in 1989. Nana was the best great-grandma, spoiled them with cookies, read them Bible stories, let them help decorate her little wooden nativity even though she usually didn't let kids touch the figures. The 1990s and 2000s blurred by jobs, kids' school events, family vacations to the Outer Banks every summer, Nana moving to a smaller house when Grandpa passed in 1998, then to assisted living in 2013 when she turned 90. She stayed sharp right to the end. Learned to use email so she could get pictures of the great-grandkids faster. Started watching YouTube tutorials on her tablet, gardening tips, easy recipes, even a few makeup videos because Lauren sent her some. She laughed about it, an old lady learning contouring at 92, who'd have thought? Nana passed peacefully in her sleep on March 12, 2023. She was 96. The funeral was packed. We told stories for hours afterward at the church hall, how she never forgot a birthday, how she made the best peanut butter fudge, how her faith never wavered even through losing Grandpa, losing the nativity, losing friends and family over the years. The will was simple: house sold and money split, jewelry and keepsakes divided, donations to her church and the local women's shelter. Then the lawyer handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was a short note in Nana's handwriting. "For Emily, there is one final box in my lawyer's safe. Do not open until Christmas 2025. Trust me." I cried right there in the office. Why me? Why wait 2 whole years? But I took the instructions seriously. The box came home with me that spring, wrapped in faded 1980s Christmas paper, and went onto the highest shelf in my closet. I won't pretend I wasn't tempted. More than once I stood on a stool staring at it. But I waited. Nana asked me to wait, so I waited. December 15th, 2025. It was a quiet Monday morning. Mark and I had the house to ourselves. The kids were coming home from college and their jobs in a few days. Snow was forecast for later in the week, the kind that makes everything feel like a Hallmark card. We'd already decorated, tree up, stockings hung, cookies baked. I woke up that morning with the box on my mind. I carried it downstairs carefully and set it on the coffee table in front of our fireplace. The paper was the same pattern Nana used when I was in middle school, tiny Santas and candy canes on a green background. The tape was yellowed. My hands shook as I peeled it open. Inside, layers of tissue, bubble wrap, an old quilted placemat Nana used to protect fragile things. And then I lifted it out. A nativity set. My breath stopped. It was almost identical to the one from my childhood. Same style, same soft hand-painted porcelain, same pastel colors, same gentle faces. Mary kneeling with love in her eyes. Joseph standing watch. Baby Jesus in his manger with the tiny golden halo. The 3 wise men bearing gifts. Shepherds. Angel. Donkey, sheep, ox. The stable with its little thatched roof. It was complete. Whole. Beautiful. But it wasn't brand new. There was gentle patina, the kind that comes with age and love. And when I looked closer at baby Jesus, I saw it, a thin golden line running across his body where he had once been broken. Kintsugi. The Japanese art of repairing pottery with gold to make the cracks part of the beauty. Tucked carefully beneath the stable was an envelope. Nana's handwriting on the front, "For my Emily, Christmas 2025. I sat down on the sofa. Mark sat beside me, arm around my shoulders. I opened it with tears already starting. My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, it's finally Christmas 2025 and I've been watching from the best seat in the house for a couple years now. I hope you're surrounded by Mark, Lauren, Ethan, and maybe some little grandbabies climbing all over you. You were always my story girl. From the time you were tiny, you sat closest when I read the Christmas account, eyes wide, soaking in every word like you could see the angels yourself. I knew one day you'd be the keeper of our family stories. After that terrible night in 1967, I couldn't replace the set right away. It felt like giving up on the original, like saying the broken pieces didn't matter. But as the years went by and I prayed and thought and healed a little more each Christmas, I realized the story wasn't finished. So I started searching. Quietly. Slowly. One piece at a time. First, the Holy Family in an antique shop in Amish country in 1974. Then a wise man at an estate sale in 1981. The angel came from eBay in 2008. Yes, your granddaughter taught me how to bid online. I found the donkey at a church rummage sale in 2015. It took almost 50 years, but I collected every piece again, matching as closely as I could. I saved the few original fragments that could be salvaged. See baby Jesus's golden seam? That's part of the 1942 figure, mended on purpose with real gold lacquer I ordered special. You told me about kintsugi once when you were home from college, how the Japanese believe a broken object is more beautiful for having been broken. I loved that idea so much I cried. This restored set is for you because you understand that life breaks us all sometimes. Sometimes it's an accident. Sometimes it's someone else's pain spilling over. Sometimes it takes decades to mend. Roger never gave a proper apology, and that's all right. I forgave him a long time ago, quietly, in prayer, the way grace works best. Tell your mama I love her without a single shadow. And know that I love you, Mark, the kids, the grandkids, and anyone new who's joined the family since I wrote this. Put this nativity out every Christmas. Let the children touch the figures gently. Tell them the long story, how it broke one sad night, how love hunted for pieces across half a century, how the cracks got filled with gold. Remind them that the light still comes, even into messy stables, even into broken lives. All my love forever and ever. Nana Evelyn. P.S. I'm proud of you, my girl. Keep telling stories. I couldn't finish reading aloud. The tears came hard. Mark held me while I sobbed, not just sad tears, but the kind that come when something long broken finally feels whole. That night we set the nativity on our mantle. We tucked the lights behind it the way Nana always did. And for the first time in 58 years, the scene glowed complete again, golden crack and all. Every Christmas since, we keep the tradition. Dim the lights. Read from Luke. Sing Silent Night. And I tell the full story, the magic, the crash, the decades of quiet searching, the gold-filled cracks. The kids and grandkids trace that golden line on baby Jesus and ask questions. I tell them that's where the real beauty lives now, in the mended places. If you made it to the end of this long, long story, thank you from the deepest part of my heart. If it made you cry, made you think of your own family, made you want to call someone you haven't spoken to in years, then it did exactly what Nana hoped it would. Please like, comment your own Christmas memories, happy, hard, healed, and share this video. Let's get it out there so more people remember that grace shows up, even if it takes 58 years. Subscribe and hit the bell because there are more stories coming, more love, more tears, more hope. That Christmas of 2025 didn't end with just opening the box and crying on the sofa. Oh no. That was only the beginning of something much bigger. After Mark and I sat there for what felt like hours just holding the figures and rereading Nana's letter over and over, we decided we had to share it with the rest of the family right away. The kids were coming home in 2 days, but my mom was only a 20-minute drive away. So I called her. "Mom, can you come over?" I opened Nana's box. "You need to see this." She was at our house in 15 minutes, still in her coat and boots from shoveling her driveway. When she walked into the living room and saw the Nativity glowing on the mantel, whole again, golden crack and all, she stopped dead in her tracks. "Oh my Lord," she whispered, hand over her mouth. Then the tears started. She walked slowly to the mantel, reached out like she was afraid it would vanish, and gently touched Mary's face. It's the same one," she said, voice breaking. "How did she?" I handed her the letter. She read it silently, lips trembling. When she got to the part where Nana said, "Tell your mama I love her," without a single shadow, my mom let out this deep, shaking sob, the kind that comes from decades of carrying quiet guilt. You see, my mom had always blamed herself a little for what happened that night in 1967. She felt like if she'd handled Roger better, or noticed the drinking sooner, or protected Nana more, maybe the Nativity would never have broken. Even though Nana never once blamed her out loud, Mom carried it. We sat together on the sofa, me, Mark, and Mom, and talked for hours. Really talked. About Roger. About the good times nobody ever mentioned anymore. About how hard marriage was back then when nobody talked about alcoholism. About forgiveness that happens in silence over decades. Mom told us something I'd never heard before. A few years after the divorce, Roger had actually written Nana a letter. He was living in Florida, sober for the first time in years through AA, and he apologized. Not a grand dramatic apology, just a simple, handwritten note saying he was sorry for the pain he'd caused, especially that Christmas Eve. Nana wrote back, told him she'd forgiven him long ago and was proud he was getting help. But she never told anyone in the family. She said some things are between the person and God. That story hit me hard. All those years I'd carried a little resentment toward Roger, and Nana had already let it go. When Lauren and Ethan got home the next day, we did the whole thing again, unwrapping the figures carefully, reading the letter out loud, crying together. Lauren, who's always been the sensitive one, kept tracing the golden crack on baby Jesus and saying, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's like the broken part is the most beautiful now." Ethan, my practical engineer son, asked a million questions. How long do you think it took her to find all the pieces? Did she keep a list? Was there a secret notebook somewhere? We actually found the answer to that a few weeks later when we went through the last of Nana's things still stored in Mom's garage. Tucked inside an old photo album was a small spiral notebook labeled Nativity Quest, 1974 to 2021. Inside were pages and pages of Nana's neat handwriting, dates, places, prices paid, little notes like Wise Man Number 2, found at estate sale in Worcester, $12, crown matches almost perfectly, or angel wings slightly different shade, but close enough, eBay, 2009. There was even a page with sketches of the original figures from memory and a list of antique shops across 3 states. She'd spent nearly 50 years on this quiet mission. 50 years. We all sat on the garage floor reading that notebook and crying and laughing at the same time. Nana had turned her heartbreak into a lifelong treasure hunt, and she never breathed a word about it to anyone. That Christmas season of 2025 became one of the most meaningful of my life. We invited the whole extended family over on Christmas Eve, cousins, aunts, uncles, even some who hadn't been together in years. We dimmed the lights, set the restored Nativity front and center, and I read from Luke chapter 2 in Nana's steady rhythm. Then I told the full story, the crash, the decades of searching, the golden cracks, the forgiveness. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. After everyone left, Mark and I sat by the fire with the Nativity glowing softly. He said something I'll never forget. Your Nana didn't just restore a nativity set. She restored all of us. And he was right. But here's where it gets intriguing. A few months later, in the spring of 2026, I got a phone call from Nana's old lawyer. He said there was one final addendum to the estate that had been sealed with special instructions. It could only be opened after the Christmas 2025 box had been received and the contents shared with the family. He wouldn't tell me what it was over the phone. Just that I needed to come in person. I haven't opened it yet. The appointment is next week. I don't know what's in that last envelope. Another letter? A recording? Something about Roger? Something Nana never told anyone? All I know is that even from the other side, Nana's still telling the story, one surprise at a time. Guys, if this story has touched you, if it's made you cry, made you think about your own family wounds, your own quiet forgiveness journeys, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs hope this holiday season. Drop your own stories in the comments. Have you ever had something broken beyond repair suddenly become whole again? Have you ever received a gift years after the hurt? And most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because as soon as I open that final envelope from Nana's lawyer, I'm coming right back here to tell you what was inside.